All right, so what I want to show you guys is how to solve a multi-step inequality. The first thing I want to do is simplify a little bit before I start to really solve. And so in simplifying, I'm going to start by using the distributive property. Now the distributive property takes a number or a term from the outside, so this -5, and multiplies it to each term on the inside of the parentheses. So it's going to multiply to this x, so -5 times x is -5x. And it's also going to multiply to this 2.8. So -5 times 2.8 is a -14. Now I just simplified, so the 24 is greater than or equal to 28 stays. So I'm going to bring that down. So from the original, 24 is greater than or equal to 28, but now we're subtracting 5x and we're subtracting 14. In my next step, I want to simplify a little bit more, so I'm going to combine like terms. Notice that on the left, there's only one term, so there's nothing to combine, but on the right, there's 3 terms. And you'll notice that this 28 does not have an x in it, and this -14 does not have an x in it. So I can do 28 take away 14. 28 take away 14 is 14. So that comes down here. And everything else that was originally in the inequality stays as it is. So the 24 is greater than or equal to, now the 14 was a combination of the 28 minus 14. And then we do minus 5x. All right, we're left with 2 steps. So our next step is a solving step. No more simplification because there's no like terms, there's no simplifying, so we're done with that step. So in this one, I want to take anything that does not have an x in it, any term that does not have an x in it, and bring it to the other side of the inequality. So you'll notice that this 14 does not have an x in it. So in order to get rid of that term, that positive 14 from that side, I'm going to have to add its opposite, or subtract 14, because 14 take away 14 is 0. But what you do to one side, you do to the other side. This is the subtraction property of inequalities. So when I take away 14 from 24, I get 20. So 20 is greater than or equal to, now I'm going to bring down -5x, because that negative or that minus sign is going to act as a negative. Finally, to get the x by itself, I am going to have to take that -5 away from it, but I can't just subtract the -5 because that's not how it's related to the x. The -5 is multiplying the x. So to reverse multiplication, we're going to have to use division. I'm going to divide by a -5. So I'm dividing by a -5 on both sides because the division property of inequalities tells me what I do to one side of the inequality, I must do to the other side. So I just get an x on the right, and 20 divided by, oops, that shouldn't be a 20. What did I put? 20. 24 minus 14 gets us 10. My bad. So 10 divided by -5 is a -2. Now I divided by a negative, and the law of inequalities, or the rules with inequalities, is anytime I multiply or I divide both sides by a negative, my inequality symbol is going to flip. So I get -2 is less than or equal to x. If I wanted to write it with the x on the left side, right, I'm flipping and I'm putting the x to the left, and I'm going to put the -2 to the right. If I flip the sides, I also have to flip the sign. So x is greater than or equal to -2. So on my number line, my boundary is at a -2. It's not an open circle, it's a closed circle because it also includes the -2. And we are going to anything that is greater than or equal to -2. So we're going to the more positive numbers, that's to the right. And so this is the solution.